All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 735 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And I've been talking a lot about the Falcons because there's been a lot been going on there in the mix of the playoffs or whatever the case may be, believe it or not. And it's just a lot of turmoil there. So I've been giving Georgia Southern a little bit of a break, putting them on the back burner. And I want to apologize for that because I know some people do listen for Georgia Southern content. So we're going to get into that right now. And since all this stuff been going on with the Falcons, Georgia Southern has hired two new, hires for their staff. And I think this is a really good hire. So we're going to talk about them, give you my thoughts and opinions and what it means for Georgia Southern football. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. The website is firstandframerates.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter, or X is at VF Baller. And if you want to donate or support the show, CashApp and PayPal links are below. Let's go get right into it. We have a new director of football strength and conditioning with Mr. James Heiss, and we also have offensive line coach and run game coordinator. His name is Zach Langford. But we're going to talk about James Heiss first. James Heiss comes from a couple of places. He's played at but he's been at Nebraska. He's also been at Baylor, and we're going to go down this whole spill about where he's from and what he's about. You can find us on gseagles.com. He has spent some time. He was in 2023. He was the associate director with Nebraska, and he played He worked previous 4 seasons at Buffalo. I'm all over the place. I want to apologize. So 4 seasons before the Nebraska job, he was at Buffalo. So that's pretty neat. Also, he was at Baylor as well as before joining Buffalo, he spent 2 seasons at Baylor working with Nebraska as the head football strength and conditioning coach. So he was under Matt Rule. So what does this mean here? I think we're just going to get more players that are going to be ready to go. I mean, I know the last person who was here, he did a phenomenal job getting our players ready, and I think he went on to Vanderbilt. I can't remember his name or whatever the case may be. But with James Heiss here, and the players that we're bringing more physical players in. We've been doing that for the past couple of years. And you need a good strength and conditioning coach. You need a guy who knows how to take care of the body, make sure these guys are ready to take impact on the field, know how to tackle, and you need the strength to be able to do so. Also, they needed the conditioning to stay on the field and not get injured. So I think with being with the Buffalo Bulls, being at Baylor, also, being at Nebraska, he has a pretty good resume under his belt. So for him to come to Georgia Southern, this is a pretty nice pickup for the Georgia Southern Eagles. He began his career at Akron. He earned a master's degree in sports science and administration at Akron, and he graduated a bachelor's degree from the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Indiana University of Pennsylvania, where he played football there. He was a 2-year letter winner with the Crimson Hawks, serving as a special teams captain. So now let me tell you something about this as well. Not only the fact that he is not only that he's a strength and conditioning coach, he has some experience. He's been a special teams captain. So I know this may not be the whole deal or whatever the case may be, but he may have some insight on how to help with special teams. I know we've been doing okay. We got some pretty good kickoff returns. I don't know if he's going to put any input with that, but for him to have that experience would be really good to be utilized. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So hopefully we'll see how that plays out. But welcome to Statesboro, James Heiss. Hopefully that you will help our kids get ready to go play in the Sun Belt. I'm pretty sure you will. I mean, one thing I will say about Coach Clay Helton, for the most part, most of his hires have been okay. Nothing's been out of this world. Sometimes, Brian Ellis has been looking like he's been a genius. Sometimes not. It's been a little bit up and down overall. Defensively, we've been looking a little bit better. But at the end of the day, these have been pretty much solid hires overall. Nothing to really be clamoring about, or nothing to really be alarmed about. I think the first year our defensive coordinator was a little suspect, but under Coach Clay Helton, but that's a different story. Don't want to go there. And we're going to go into the offensive side of things. Well, we're going to talk about, let's see, we're going to talk about here. Oh, wrong one. I'm sorry. I'm hitting the wrong thing. Let me make sure I get the images right. There we go. Sorry for the technical difficulties. But we're going to talk about Langford, Zach Langford. Zach Langford came from a place that a lot of Georgia Southern Eagles are pretty familiar with if you've been around with Coach Clay Helton. His, I think it's his brother down there at Western Kentucky, and he got him from Western Kentucky to come down to Statesboro. So now you're looking at the offensive line, run game. I don't know how big the run game is going to be because we run an air raid offense. Love to see us run the ball more because we got some pretty decent running backs. But nevertheless, hopefully our offensive line to get a little bit better from last year, because last year we took a step back from the year prior when we was like one of the best in the nation. This past year was not the best. But with Zach Langford coming in, hopefully that changes. Coach Zach Langford comes to Statesboro after 5 seasons at Western Kentucky. The final 2 was co-offensive coordinator and offensive line for a high-power Hilltopper offense. So that's really interesting. I wonder if he's going to be doing anything as far as the offense in general with Brian Ellis. He is the run game coordinator, and Brian Ellis does, call the plays in the passing game. But with him bringing that knowledge from Western Kentucky, I wonder if you're going to see any more, some new tweaks to the offense. Langford returned to Western Kentucky in February 2019 after the second stint of the Hilltoppers, this time as tight ends coach. He moved to offensive quality control in 2021 before being elevated to 2022 to co-offensive coordinator, offensive line coach. In his first year as offensive line coach, Langford mentored a unit that finished 14th in the country in sacks allowed with just 14. So that is something that we need. We need that right there because we gave up a lot of sacks last year, but the year prior to that, 2022, we were like, I don't think we only gave like 6. So we really need that. So that'd be pretty cool. And really, there's not much else to talk about there. I see the other stuff that they're talking about here. The Hilltoppers, the tight end situation and all this. I don't know how much that's going to play because he's going to be running game coordinator, offensive line. And they talk about how much a couple of guys had some catches. I just don't know how that's going to really play out because unless if he's offensive coordinator, it'd be a different scenario. So like I said, he's been at Western Kentucky from 2014 to 2016. He came back and he came back for a second stint after being around a couple other places for a while. He was an offensive line coach at Falkland University. He also was he served as a director of recruiting and player development at UAB, which is really interesting. This is another thing. I wonder if any of these guys are actually going to be doing things outside of their name title because they have like other skills. Like I said, Heist has special team experience. Zach Langford has a lengthy resume here. He's been, a few places, and with him having an eye for talent, being, associate director of recruiting and player development, I wonder how that's going to play. Is he just going to be pigeonholed into 1 or 2, roles, or is he going to be putting input for other things? It would just be a waste not to just get some input somewhere, not to step on anybody else's toes, but you would want to see a collective effort overall when, everybody's involved trying to get, players in here or trying to have a successful program. It's not just, hey, you do this, you do this, you do this, because other people may have some things that other people may not see. You just never know. So I'm just curious about these 2 hires because it's not much here to really, grasp onto, but it is, it is pretty significant that we got these guys. So we need these guys on our team. And then I think we got 2 good ones. To be honest with you, these two hires are actually pretty stout. One from a Power 5 conference, that had experience in Power 5 conference. And even with Langford, not everything is Power. I don't think he has any Power 5 conference, experience, But the fact that he's been somewhere consistently that was successful with Western Kentucky, and it basically lines up with what we're running here at Statesboro. So it should be a perfect fit on trying to continue what we're trying to do here. So it's going to be really interesting. So that's all I got for this one. So if you like this commentary, the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think about these two hires. I think they're pretty solid. I don't see any downside to any one of these two guys. Hopefully they just continue to make the team better. I mean, you want to see this team get, +6 wins, you know what I'm saying? 7, 8, 9 wins. And I think that really kind of relies on the quarterback. I'm just going to be honest with you. We get a quarterback here, we would do some really good things. And these two other hires of strength and conditioning and the offensive line and run game coordinator just going to enhance that. So I could be found on YouTube and Rumble, also on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. You can also find me on Twitter or X at VF Baller. I talk about things over there that don't make the show. And also the website is firstandframerates.com. All right, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. And I'll see y'all guys on the next one. Oh, Cash App and PayPal links are below if you want to donate and support the show. All right, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all take it easy and y'all be blessed. Peace.